I'm going to talk about how important gratitude is in maintaining your sobriety or even starting on the journey to sobriety. Just getting that the motivation and the urgency to even start that sobriety journey. I remember when I was trying to get sober or in my initial days of being sober that I didn't have anything to be grateful for. It's amazing to look back on because I'm so grateful for so many things now. But when I first started, I didn't think there was one thing in my life that I had to be grateful for. And that's just really that is a mind-blowing concept that a person could go through life or live in a way that they think that they have absolutely nothing to live for, that they have nothing good in their life to be grateful for. And it's not uncommon at all. Being in such a state of addiction, being so depressed and controlled by a substance and feeling so weak that I can't control myself, that I can't not give up marijuana, something that is so benign in a lot of ways, something that is so non-addictive to many people. You know, a lot of people do not get addicted. Most people do not get addicted to marijuana, but there is a small subset of us who are extremely addicted and just cannot put it down, even though we know, or I knew at a certain point, that this was not good for me and that I was ruining my life by smoking so much. So when I first got the idea, not that I got the idea, I was told the idea of gratitude. It's like ideas don't come to me all the time, especially in an addictive mindset or in a mindset where I can't even think of my way out. I need to ask for help. I need to find other ways how other people were successful in giving up marijuana and in giving up addiction. And hopefully I can be that person that helps you get over your addiction with marijuana, or at least to help you to maintain your sobriety if you're thinking about not doing it, or if you're thinking about starting again. It's really interesting that if people quit marijuana or any substance and don't really have a support structure or a goal or a plan on how to stay sober, then the sobriety may not be a very fun experience. They may have to go back to using just so they can feel better again. Because if your sobriety is not of good quality, then what's the point of being sober, right? Like if you were happier when you were high than when you were sober, then why not just be high all the time? But if you're here, if you're looking at a video, then probably being high was not a fun experience at some point. It eventually became just like this really soul-destroying lifestyle that you just are ready to give up. So back to gratitude. Why is gratitude so important? That's kind of hard to explain, but there's actually some very real reasons why gratitude is such an important aspect of recovery. Getting sober, going into recovery, and when I refer to recovery, that means like there's the physical sobriety, which means like you're not smoking, you're not drinking, you're not injecting or ingesting any type of narcotic. That some people consider that cigarettes, some people consider that coffee as well. But for now, we're just going to focus on marijuana. You know, let's just do one thing at a time. So if your goal is to quit marijuana, then that would be the physical sobriety. But then the recovery aspect is like, how are you doing inwardly? How do you feel about life in general? How do you feel about yourself? Because addiction and sobriety tend to come down to the mindset. You know, what is your mindset when you're smoking or when you're not smoking? And so how gratitude comes in is that it starts to shift the mindset from a negative to a more positive. When I was getting sober, I was thinking there is nothing good in my life. life is pointless. Weed is the only thing that makes me happy. And that was actually true. That was 100% true because I believed it. That's what I was thinking. So as I was slowly starting to change my perspective and say, you know what? I actually have something to be grateful for. I can be grateful for having one day sober. I can be grateful for having some kind of electronic device that I am able to record this video or watch a video. I had a car. Now, I understand that not everybody has a car, not everybody has shelter or a roof over their head or food in their stomach. You know, some of us are in different places, but for many of us do have food. Like, that's something to really be grateful for, because there are people in this world who don't have food every day. There are people who die from starvation. There are people who have to wait a day or two before they're able to get food, or they're able to eat very low quality food, etc., etc. Just having food is extremely important, and not everyone has it. It's not a given. I would say it is a human right, but that doesn't mean that everybody has access to food all the time. That's one thing I can be grateful for. Running water, that's another thing that not everybody has. Shelter, that's not something everybody else has. That's something, imagine if I didn't have shelter. Imagine if I didn't have a phone. Imagine if I didn't have any of the hundreds of things every day that I take for granted. Life would be even more miserable than it was before. And it would definitely be very miserable now. But I digress. I take that back. Life would not be miserable because I have the mindset where even if I did lose everything, I understand that like having that negative mindset is not going to help. That's only going to make things worse. Would it be bad to not have all these things? Yeah, it would make things very uncomfortable. I would have to change. I would have to get used to not having those things, and I would have to find new things to take those places. And in some ways, it would actually be a blessing because all these things that I'm grateful for can actually be very, I don't know if I would say destructive, but it might, it takes up a lot of time that I probably shouldn't be spending as much time playing video games on a computer or being on my phone or having too much comfort in life, because it stops growth. Growth and change comes through being uncomfortable and doing new things. But that was a bit of a tangent. So let's get back to gratitude. Gratitude is important. I'm grateful for all the things I do have, and I'm grateful for the things I don't have. Maybe my health. Maybe I don't have a certain... One second, that's a phone. I thought I turned that off. But getting back to gratitude. So definitely gratitude is really important because it changes our mindset. It just creates a positive from a negative. So one thing that gratitude does is it does improve mental health. It can reduce stress and anxiety. It lowers depression, and it increases my ability to stay sober, because usually using marijuana comes from a place of scarcity, of feeling like I don't have something in my life, feeling like my life is just not that fun, or whatever situation I'm in, it's just not that fun, and I just can't handle it. It may not even be not just fun. It could be like being in this situation makes me extremely uncomfortable. Being alive makes me extremely uncomfortable. Being around people makes me extremely uncomfortable. I'm just always extremely uncomfortable. I'm just always depressed. I'm just always sad. Or maybe I'm always angry. All of the above. And so what does marijuana do? It makes me feel better. It takes those symptoms away really quickly. Now, that may sound good, but being able to just switch your emotions on and off like that sounds like a good idea, but it's really not. It's really just a quick fix. And it's only covering up the underlying issues. It's only medicating myself. And the problem with medication is that you do build up a tolerance to it. Eventually, you have to do, especially with marijuana, you have to do more and more to start feeling less and less good. And that is unfortunately what happens with marijuana, which is why eventually people quit. If marijuana worked the same as it did the first time for the rest of your life, probably people would not ever quit. But what happens with marijuana is that the more you use, the longer you use, the less potent it becomes. You build the tolerance, and the higher tolerance means like you have to keep using more. But for those of us who have used for any length of time, whether it's 1 month, 1 year, 10 years, then you know that after a while, you never get that first high again. They call that chasing the dragon, right? Like with heroin addicts, you never get that first high, but you're trying to get that first high. You're trying to feel that way you did when you first started. You want to get that memory of, you remember how good it felt the first time you used and why you wanted to use ever since then, or all those good times that you had, and you're trying to recapture that. Unfortunately, if you're a regular user, then that doesn't happen. You're actually smoking 5-10 times as much as you did when you first started, and it's not working. So while marijuana may seem like the quick fix at first, after a while it does the opposite. After a while it stops working, and now you have all the symptoms of withdrawal as well. Like now your body, if your body doesn't have marijuana, you feel really, really bad. You feel a lot worse than you did before you had started smoking marijuana, however long it was ago. And that is a terrible situation to be in. And that may be the situation you're in right now. And part of that is because the reward centers that marijuana activates feels good at first, but eventually you burn it out. You burn those out like you would anything. Like you drive a car for too long and you put too much gas in the gas tank or too much oil in the engine, it eventually starts screwing up the car, and your brain is screwed up because of all the pot you smoked. And that does not repair itself instantly. The amount of time it took you to get to that place, your brain will repair faster, but it's not going to repair immediately. You're going to have to take some time and let your brain heal naturally over months, over years. But the good news is that it does happen. The bad news is that it's not the quick fix that marijuana was. Quitting is going to teach you how to be a long-term goal-oriented person, and that things don't happen with just, the flick of the finger on the phone. Get your quick fix on TikTok or social media. Get your quick fix with marijuana or alcohol. It means you're going to have to figure out how to live in a constant state of being okay. And that takes time, that takes work, and that's where gratitude comes in. Gratitude is one of an unlimited amount of ways to change your life and to make your life worth living sober. So much so that the thought of using marijuana makes you say, oh wow, like if I used marijuana right now, I would feel different, but I feel good right now. If you think that's not possible, think again. It's all a mindset. You just have to believe that you can live a happy, productive life without marijuana. It may not seem so because maybe quitting for a day or two makes you feel miserable, but that's normal because you've been using it for a long time and your body's used to running on marijuana. So if you want that to change, you're going to have to it's going to take some work. And that's where gratitude comes in as one of those tools. If you're feeling really depressed, if you're feeling very hopeless, if you're feeling like nothing's working, just start working that gratitude muscle. It takes time, and it's like any other muscle. You have to work at it. You have to be consistent, and it's something you can do anywhere. Anytime you're feeling bad, you can just say to yourself, hey, I'm really grateful that I'm in this opportunity to be challenged. I'm very grateful that I have this and that. I'm very grateful I have clothes on my back. I'm very grateful that I have this opportunity to do whatever it is that is making me stressed out. You know, if you're lonely because you're in your house, or you're lonely because you're at work or have to go to work, you know what? Having a job is actually something to be really grateful for. Having money, having some place to be is something to be really grateful for. And there's all types of stuff like that. We all have things that we can be grateful for. Like, I used to have hair. I still have a little hair, but I used to have more hair. I used to have like regular full head of hair like people do when they were younger. And I was never grateful for that. But you're not great. You know, now I realize like how lucky I was to have hair, because now my hair's really thinning on the top. I have to shave it now to make it like look like how other people do when they shave their head, because they kind of have like a receding hairline. Well, that's, you know, and I'm grateful that like I can do that. I'm grateful that I have some hair. Like, who cares? What I'm really grateful for is like, I don't really care that much about that, because yeah, it's great to have hair, but it's not the most important thing in the world, right? Like, what's important is that I feel okay, that I have some serenity, that I'm not jonesing for marijuana the way I used to. And those are just a few things. It's important to practice gratitude every day, all throughout the day. It may sound cheesy, but becoming positive and having healthy mental health can seem really cheesy if you're kind of angry, or if you're kind of depressed or hopeless, or just poo-poo on everything. Everything's stupid, right? I hate everything. Well, we got to change that around. Now it's, I love everything. And it doesn't necessarily always work. You don't have to believe the things you say. You can say, I love everything, you know, like, fuck this, I love everything. And I don't mean it, but saying it, believe it or not, it starts changing things. You start putting out that positive energy into the world, even if it's fake. Eventually it becomes real, because you can make it real. It's just a mindset. Another thing that being grateful for is that it strengthens relationships. A lot of times when people become addicted or use a lot of marijuana or drinking, they start to lose some friends. Sometimes it's the friends that don't want to hang out with you. And a lot of times it's you don't want to hang out with other people who don't smoke marijuana. And you slowly find your circle of friends slowly getting smaller and smaller, to where it's only people who smoke marijuana as well. And if you're really a serious smoker, then probably none of your friends smoke as much as you do. And so you end up just smoking by yourself a lot, because people don't want to be going out and smoking as much as you do. They don't want to take a break. They don't want their place smelling like weed. They don't just want to stay inside and smoke weed all day, or have to go out and get a smoke break every 15 minutes, or sneaking the vape under your jacket, or just maybe out in the open. So it's interesting. And then also too, like, I know smoking buddies are great, but you know, where are they at in their life? Are they really the best influence for you? Think about it this way. Would you be hanging out with them if you both did not smoke weed? Or if you weren't getting together to smoke weed, would you have anything in common? Would you want to hang out with them, or would they want to hang out with you if you're not smoking weed? And that's another thing. Like, are they only hanging out with you because they're smoking your weed? You have more weed? Or are you only hanging out with them because they have more weed and you're smoking their weed? It tends to be, eventually you get into a situation where it's one side or the other. You know, maybe it starts off as, hey, let's all share the weed around, and, you know, let's pass the weed and let's all smoke equally and share, and, you know, we're super cool potheads and we just have fun with each other. And then eventually it's like, yo, man, stop smoking my weed. You're smoking all the weed and you never contribute. Or, hey, man, can I get like another hit? I'm still not high yet. Can you pack me another bowl? Yeah, you know, I'll get you next time. I'll get you next time. And it becomes demoralizing. Either way, you're either angry because people are mooching off of you, or you're angry at yourself because you're mooching off of other people. You're just like, there's so many things that go wrong when relationships are based around marijuana. So that's just why relationships go bad. But as far as gratitude starts to improve your relations, even if you're still smoking weed. If you're more grateful for having that person in your life, if you're more grateful for other things, then you're more fun to be around. You treat other people. If you're grateful for something, if you're grateful for a person being in your life, then chances are you're going to treat them a little bit better. And I don't know. I think most people or everybody likes to be treated better. You know, some people are into the abusive relationships, but in their mindset, they're being treated a certain way that maybe they want to be. I'm not going to get into that. That's kind of like that was a very superficial way of looking at that. But in general, being grateful is going to make you just be a better person to be around, easier person to be around. Most people don't want to be around someone who's depressed or just like F this, F everything. I hate this, I hate everything. That's not a fun person to be around, you know? I don't know if you like maybe you like being around people like that. I've been around many people like that. And obviously they have other qualities that maybe are better, but it would be, you know, they have other qualities that make them, you want to be around them, and you ignore the other negative parts. But wouldn't it be better if they didn't have those negative parts at all? And wouldn't you be better if you had less negative traits, like being negative all the time, you know, like literally just being negative, like you don't have anything, nothing good is in your life, you know, like that's always funny, like when you're with somebody and you're like, oh, I have nothing good in my life. And then like, what's the other person supposed to think? They're like, what am I, you know, chopped liver? Like, some people like liver. My mom loves liver. So disgusting because it's got a lot of iron. But, you know, it's like you're around people and they're like, you're like, oh man, I have nothing good in my life. You know, what's the other person supposed to think? They're like, okay, yeah, like I'm worthless. Like this person thinks that even though I'm around, that I don't do any, bring nothing to their life or the world. And so, you know, like being grateful, being happy, being like, oh man, I'm so happy, like I'm hanging out with you, you know, like I'm so happy that I have you as a friend or a family member. I'm so happy I know you. I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful to have you in my life. Like, imagine hearing that from somebody. Like, that would feel good. Don't manipulate people. Don't be a jerk off and use that as a way to manipulate someone. But be genuine, be honest about being grateful, about having people in your life and having a life worth living. And so, some practical applications in recovery and being sober is being grateful is fine, but let's make a goal. Let's make a plan. Let's get some action steps. Get a journal. People are really fond of journaling, writing in your journal every day one thing a day that you're grateful for. I'm grateful for the sky. I'm grateful for the beautiful weather today. I'm grateful for the awful weather today. You can just like throw it on its head. You know, I'm grateful that I don't have asthma today. I'm grateful that I have asthma medication. I'm grateful that I have a job that I can buy, that I can just waste money on things that I don't need, which is not a good thing, but like that's still something to be grateful for. There's so many things to be grateful for. I'm grateful that I'm sober for one day. I'm grateful that I've been sober for 11 years. I'm grateful that my birthday is coming up. I'm grateful that I spent New Year's with my wife in San Francisco and we took a trip and it was a lot of work, but we saw a bunch of stuff. We saw the Coit Tower. We saw the Painted Ladies. We went to Fisherman's Wharf once or twice. She bought some pearl. She got the oyster stuff where she bought pearls from inside of an oyster and then got them. She got like a pearl necklace and she paid for it because I can't afford that. She makes more money than me. I'm grateful for that. But yes, lots of things to be grateful for. I'm just grateful to have someone in my life. When I was using, I had like one or two friends, and it was like my dealer, the people who sold the weed for me. Like when I was smoking, they didn't even have legal marijuana. You would have to go to someone who had it, who knew someone else who had it, who knew someone else who had it, who grew it, or was receiving it from another country that was growing it. It was just a big mess. It was illegal. You could get in trouble for it. It was sneaky, and people used it as a power trip, and you would have to like basically kiss their butt to get some marijuana, and I genuinely liked the people that I smoked weed with, but also there was like so many negative things that went on, and I was using them, I was taking advantage of them, and they were taking advantage of me. It was really not a healthy relationship. So gratitude, yes, write down one thing to be grateful for in a journal. Then, you know what? You can even try three things. Try three things a day after a week or two of journaling one thing just to kind of get the muscle going. But if you can write more than one thing, write more than one thing. Write three things, write 10 things. Most people, they have to do 10 things to be grateful for every day. But I think the consistency is more important than the amount. So if you can write one thing, even if it's like, I'm grateful that I wrote one thing in the journal today. I'm grateful that I've been consistent with writing in my journal for 10 days. And then eventually you start to pay attention to the world. You're like, what are some things I can be grateful for? Oh my gosh, there's so many things I can be grateful for. I can be grateful for the bumblebee. I can be grateful for the butterfly I saw. I can be grateful for having some place to go to. So try to make a habit of writing in some kind of gratitude book, gratitude journal. Once you start to know people who are also sober, which is sometimes, maybe you meet them at your rehab, maybe you meet them in 12-step groups. 12-step groups are a great way to meet people who are just like so hyper-focused on just getting sober. It's extremely motivating. It'd probably be hard to find somebody who wants to be on your gratitude list, but maybe you have friends. Maybe you can just be like, hey, you know what I was thinking? Just to like do something positive, let's all start a gratitude list and see what other people are grateful for. And when you start seeing what other people are grateful for, it gives you ideas. You're like, oh, I never thought about that. I never thought about like how grateful I can be about different things. I have allergies, really bad ones. That's why my skin's so red all the time. Another way to have gratitude is just like being grateful to people, thanking people just for being your friend, thanking people for taking your phone call, for hanging out with you, for being in your life, especially if you have a significant other. So many times that the significant other becomes secondary to the marijuana. The marijuana is the first significant other. That's the main significant other. We may not think it, but if push comes to shove, we choose marijuana over the other person because for the most part, unless the other person's smoking as well, they probably aren't that happy with your habit. And if you do both smoke, then are you the one that's smoking more or are they smoking more? And if they're smoking more, how does that make you feel? Does that get in the way of your relationship with somebody who does smoke a lot? If yes, then your smoking really probably gets in the way of your relationship with other people who don't smoke at all. So it's important just to be thankful, express gratitude to people for how they are, what they mean to you in your life. And just be mindful, practice, like actually get into like a gratitude meditation, spend 5 minutes in a quiet space, or even not in a quiet space, but if you're really feeling down, if you're really feeling just like you're losing your shit, you're about to like go ballistic, if you're able to stop and just, hey, you're at work, you're at home, you're on the bus, maybe not while you're driving, but you can, like me, if you can multitask and just start going through a gratitude list in your mind while you're driving, you can see that you can suddenly shift your mindset really quickly. All of a sudden you go from a scarcity mindset, like I don't have anything, the world's against me, the world sucks, my life sucks, everything sucks, to an abundance mindset where, you know what, I have so much, I have so many things to be grateful for. I have so many opportunities. A lot of the problems in my life are caused by me. And while that may hurt at first, taking accountability, the opposite is true too, is that if all my problems are caused by me, then all the solutions and the good things are also can be caused by me. I can change that. I can change from me creating my problems to me solving my problems and me becoming abundant and living a life that's worth living. Another thing to be grateful for, and that is going to help with staying sober and recovery, is not to always look at the huge picture, the big picture, not to say, okay, I've only been sober for 1 hour. I've only been sober for 1 day. I've only been sober for 10 days. Well, actually, that wouldn't even be that bad. So what I do mean is like saying, if you only have 1 day sober, or if you only have 10 days or 2 months sober, and saying, oh, I don't have a year yet. This sucks. I haven't done anything. I haven't accomplished anything. No, it's important to say, oh, wow, I just got another day sober. I just got another week sober. Like, it's important to congratulate yourself. It's important to have gratitude and be thankful for small improvements, very small improvements, because every big goal, every big improvement, every big change in our life takes many little small steps. So every day sober means like we were sober for a minute, we were sober for 24 hours, and however many minutes there are in 24 hours, there's a lot. It would be like 24 times 6, and then you add a zero, I guess. Yeah. So however much that is, let's just say approximately about 1,500 hours, I would say. But I don't know. Maybe that's completely off. Or 1,500 minutes. Is that what I said? Anyways, every little thing, every big thing takes little steps, and every little step takes even smaller steps. So it's important to look at your progress. And with sobriety specifically, say you're sober for 1 day. If you're at that 24 hours, or if like you woke up sober from being a whole day of being sober the day before, you may feel like crap in the morning. You may feel like crap throughout the whole day, but when you think, oh my gosh, I made it such and such amount of time. I'm so grateful for that. And then when you look back and say, how did I feel in that first hour? How did I feel that first day? How did I feel that first week compared to how I feel now? Most likely, especially if you're journaling, you can go back and read those, because sometimes it's easy to forget. But if you look back and think, do I feel better now than I did a week ago or a day ago or yesterday? And sure, things go up and down. But in general, if you look back, you're going to say, oh, wait, I'm actually feeling a lot better than I was that first day or that first week or that first hour. It got easier and easier, even though you're not like totally cured or feeling just like on top of the world. If you put things in perspective, you'll see how you've made progress. And rewarding yourself mentally for progress is going to be really important in keeping you going, keeping you sober. You really need to put in perspective. It's not, I don't have this, I don't have that. What do you have? And how far have you come just within a week? Are you any closer to the goal that you're trying to get to? And if you're not, what can you do to actually do that? Like, a lot of our depression, a lot of our like self-esteem and self-hate comes from us not having things. But why do we not have things? Is there really something like holding us back from doing certain things, or is it us that's holding us back? If I'm unhappy because I don't have a partner, girlfriend or boyfriend or non-binary partner, is that because like, am I actually like leaving the house? Am I actually going out and meeting people? Am I actually the type of person that someone would want to be with? Am I setting my standards so high when I'm not at those same standards? It's great to have high standards. It's great to like try to go out there and try to like get the best possible, right? The best partner possible. But if you look at it through their eyes, are you the best partner for them? Like, is there a reason why someone else who has equally high standards, would you be the person they would pick? Are you doing things in your life that are making yourself desirable? And so what I'm just saying is that, yes, we have a lot of things that we need to work on. We need to be thankful for the things we have worked on, and we have to continue working on things to become better people so that we can get the things that we want, whether it's a better job, a partner, more friends, more fun, a better body, better clothes, just feeling better about ourselves. And gratitude is one of those things that you can do right away and it's free. But on top of that is that real self-esteem, real happiness comes from actually accomplishing things in your life, like doing things that are hard and completing them. And sobriety is one thing that is going to make you so proud that you're able to overcome something that's so difficult that really seems insurmountable. Like when I was starting to get sober, it was impossible. I didn't think I could do it. But for some reason, I was so desperate. I knew that I had to do it. There was a point where I just said, I need to do this no matter what. I can't. I know I can't, even though other people have. I have no other choice. I'm just going to just try. I'm just going to try. And the fact that I am sober today is giving me so much self-esteem, so much self-empowerment that there's so many other things that I can do now that I told myself, wow, I can actually overcome things that seemed impossible. And it's really just overcoming myself. So gratitude, very important. If you have stayed to the end of the video, let me know what you're grateful for. Leave some comments about what you're grateful for. Make it a habit. If it's your first time you've ever been grateful for something, start right now. Leave a comment. Show gratitude towards me in a relationship. Send a like. Give a thumbs up. Because that would be developing our relationship. I would be really happy. It'd be doing a great thing for me. So thank you so much and stick with it. This is not a one-day thing. Like getting sober, and more so than being sober, is becoming a happy person, having healthy mental health, living a healthy life psychologically and spiritually. Takes time. It's a daily practice, and it also takes maintenance. It's very easy to go back. It's very easy to start smoking again. It's very easy to get depressed and to start moving backwards. So just stick with it. Don't give up. Just keep trying to do something better every day. Thank you so much. Love you. And